Welcome, everybody, to the first 2023 live show, live show of 2023. I don't have any fancy lights here. Again, this is MX Unfiltered. I'm going unscripted, and hence why the live. But for retention reasons, I'm doing the first live show of having 4 guests on air tomorrow at noon Pacific time, and we're just going to go over the races, and we're going to try to do it every week. We're going to try to have a new guest on the show every week. It'll just be 30 minutes. We may change times depending upon what seems to be the best retention for everybody. And just bench race, because there's enough media out there. I feel as if we're more of a community influence, comedic kind of relief. We're not trying to do the typical, hey, how you doing? And, who do you want to thank? Well, this is what I'm allowed to say. And then they go on with it. None of that mosh, faux, whatever BS. We're going to keep it unfiltered, and it should be a fun show. There might even be some live fighting going on. So I am excited about that. And as far as the giveaway goes for this week, I have partnered with NCK Decals, and we're giving away a full-blown graphics kit for everybody. For the Patreon subscribers and the channel members, you'll get a couple entries for the channel members, and the Patreons are going to get double that just because of the amount they spend more, right? And I'm not trying to pocket all of it. I want to give most of it back, and we are, well, at least just I'm using the term we. It's almost like I'm reading this book called Influence right now, and it talks about how people only say we when it's good for them, because they want to take the basically, rewards from somebody's achievements as their own. That's why, like, when we watch football, and whether it's the Broncos, the Green Bays, when our team wins, it's our team. But then when they lose, it's no, they lost. It's not we lost anymore. It's funny how psychologically we put that in our mind. So I guess I'm digressing in the fact that we, as an I, because there's really no one else here, I want to give the most of it back. And eventually, if things were to work out the way I want them to and continue to build and grow, I would love to fly down to one of the races and give the last effing dude of the LCQ, because that, mother effer is freaking working his ass off, and give him, the entry fee back, give him $1,000, something, so that he could get to the next race. Because if you've followed my channel, yes, there is some sarcasm in there, and obviously sometimes there's a little bit of, Debbie Downer-ishness on there, along with a lot of misspelling, mispronunciation. I blame that on all the effing concussions I've received, but heaven forbid, I still love this damn sport, and the goal is just to build it up and make it better. And there is room for everybody to say their piece, and that was the whole reason why I started my YouTube channel, was because I was like, what? I'm a decent effing rider. Yeah, I couldn't make shit happen, but I'm going to give some of my knowledge away for free. And then, oh, by the way, there's some shit out there that I don't agree with. So hence, I started talking a little bit more about that. But really, I've got another video I'm editing right now about the 250 class, and I just want to thank all of you for, being behind me. I know I've been attacked quite often on the internet, which is completely okay. I get it. There's a fine line between love and hate. But this is an unorthodox live stream where I am bitching a little bit, but hell, man, trying to get fucking Hopper to not bitch is one thing. This is added therapy. A lot of you guys are in the chat saying that, Anderson's going to win A1. Dude, that'd be freaking awesome. I really would like to see the Suzuki Kenny win, but we'll talk more about that. And then on tomorrow's live stream, it's just going to be 30 minutes. So I want you guys to stop in. We're probably going to do 20 minutes of just sheer bullshitting, and then the next 10 minutes we'll probably answer some live questions, or maybe the last 5 minutes or so is what I was planning on doing. But I know this show is MX Unfiltered, and guys, man, I'm being honest here, right? I've kind of struggled last few weeks. It's been hard to make content, and it's been, tough. There's been a lot of things going on in my life, which I know everybody goes through a lot of stuff. I went back home here recently, and it was an entire just shit show. You guys know a little bit about my family. Everybody's family is not perfect, right? But we love them. And there's a quote. I've been reading a lot of philosophy lately, guys. Just a lot of philosophy that never be somebody's priority when they're your option. And that goes through life in general. That's the. I know we've heard a lot about like, hey, if you're not invited to a party, don't go, that kind of thing. But here's the small little turn here. I guess let me tell you a quick little story, right? I know this has absolutely fucking nothing to do with motorcycle racing. This is live therapy, I guess, for Mr. Hopper here, WFO. One of the stories was, it had to do with Buddha. I'm a big Buddhist. Truthfully, I don't disagree with any religion, but I don't put my tent under any religion, because I pick and choose because they all have so much goodness to be there, whether it's the Bible, the Quran, whatever. There's so much there. And truthfully, I kind of believe religion is a little bit of a cult, and maybe that's a little bit of the nihilism that I go through in my life. The whole purpose of seeking what is life. What is the purpose of success, and it's more or less what you make of it. But anyway, the story goes is a man who's scared of a shadow and scared of his own feet, and what he decides to do is he decides to just start running, to try to run away from a shadow and try to run away from his footsteps. And he ends up falling dead because he couldn't get away from them. And really all he had to do was just stop moving and step into the shadow. And it got me thinking, like, okay, so as opposed to, running away from things that are difficult in your life, whether it's anything, a difficult spouse, a difficult parent, a difficult kid, financial problems, whatever. The point is to be present of what's going on and being aware. And you can then move past it. Because whatever we decide in life is not the wrong decision. I know I deal with a lot of figuring out, hey, if I go to get ice cream and there's so many fucking flavors, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to be happy because I'm going to pick the wrong one. I need to spend $200 at the ice cream joint to try them all, and that's something that I have to deal with. So, but the point is, whatever decision you make, it is the correct one. All right. And yeah, some guys in the just joined. What did I miss about stuff? You didn't miss a damn thing. You guys are asking me if I ride a Suzuki. Hell yeah, I'd ride a Suzuki. I mean, they're heavy, you have to have a kickstart, but having a bike is better than having no bike, right? I'm a little disappointed with here in Arizona, the lack of just riding. I come from Colorado, and Colorado has so much to do as far as riding, and you can only ride really, 7, maybe 8 months out of the year. And here in Arizona, you could literally ride all year round, but every track just keeps closing and closing, and the majority of it is kind of desert racing. And as I get older, it's not so much about, riding. It's more about who I'm hanging out with and who I'm riding with. There is another saying that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you are hanging out with a bunch of SOBs that let's say aren't that healthy for you, well, chances are you're going to leech off of them, and you're going to eventually look in the mirror and be like, fuck, man, like where's my life going? You know, so that's the point. I guess the other point I have is, you know, you guys have probably heard me say this before, is that a man needs three things in life. You know, they need somebody to look up to, right? Somebody to aspire to be. You know, you want what they have. You want their confidence. You want to look in the mirror and feel how happy they are, you know, because you're outside looking in, right? Because reality is just perception. We live in different worlds. It's basically how we perceive ourselves. It makes our own reality. What I mean by that is, hey, you could have two people going to the track at the same time, but one dude is having a ball and the other guy is scared out his ass because he doesn't feel that confident with his ability, so he thinks he's going to get hurt. You know, two guys are doing the exact same thing. One dude's really enjoying himself. The other one is not, right? So getting back to the story, you need somebody to look up to. Number two is you need somebody to compare to. Yes, I've also contradicted myself by saying comparison is the theft of joy. However, you need a bar to look at yourself. You know, look in the mirror and be like, hey, all right, I'm not doing that bad. You know, this is where I'm at, and I just need to accept it. And the last thing is you need somebody to mentor. You need somebody to help, right? Because that's part of giving. You know, if you go to church, again, I have nothing wrong with church. You know, I didn't spend that much time behind those doors because on Sundays, you know, we go ride motorcycles. That's just how it's been my entire life, is you ride motorcycles. And I remember my father having a sign in the garage that says that God does not take away time you spent riding a dirt bike, you know, and I didn't understand that until I became older and figured, hey, okay, you know, there's a belief that if you're not going to church, you know, you could kind of be a shitty person. And I don't believe that at all. You know, it's a thing that, like, words are one thing, actions are another. You could say a lot of really shitty things, but it doesn't make you a shitty person unless you really do shitty things, right? I mean, it's kind of interesting. And this is all scrambled real differently for you guys. The other story that I wanted to tell everybody was, it's a story about 1,000 marbles that really touched me over the last week. Again, this is all effing going through because of some of the shit that's gone on in my life that's made things incredibly difficult. And it's about a man that is listening to a Saturday morning talk radio show. You know, we all know the ones that people call in and bitch about their problems, right? I mean, they're kind of fun to listen to because you get to compare a little bit and be like, oh, dude, that guy's life sucks. That guy's life absolutely sucks. Glad I'm not doing there. You know, like, hey, at least I got my health right. You know, you start comparing, which ends up making us feel good in a certain way, which is just, you know, human nature. But anyway, he's sitting there Saturday morning. You know, he woke up early. He really likes the mornings because, I don't know, it's something about waking up before everyone else. It's real calm. And this individual, young man, gets on the phone and he said, hey, I need to find a work/family life balance because I have a really good job. I make really freaking good money, but I'm always gone. I don't get to see my kids, but I can't give away the job because then I can't take care of the kids and the family. You know, I mean, there's kind of a problem. So an older gentleman gets on the line. He's like, well, let me tell you a story about 1,000 marbles. And he starts talking. You know, it's a guy that has like a real deep, you know, almost like a Jace, you know, with Gypsy Tales, that kind of voice where he's like meant for radio, where no matter what he says, you sort of lean in to listen to. And he says that, you know, I've always really enjoyed Saturdays, and I started doing some arithmetic. And if I divided, you know, the average lifespan of a male, which he's saying that about 75 years is the average life that us male, because, you know, we do something stupid, right? We run into walls, you know, it's ego, right? Testosterone equals bad shit happens. On average, men live to be about 75. I'd have to agree. You know, my dad died at 66 and some other people I know. But anyway, I'm digressing. So he's like, okay, we'll use the average of 75 and we'll divide it by 52 because 52 weeks in a year, 52 Saturdays, and he comes up with 3,900. And he said it wasn't until I was about 55 that it made sense to me. And, I really put thought into it. And he's like, well, at 55, I've gone through 2,900 Saturdays. And so I've got about 1,000 Saturdays left in my life. And with that realization, he goes to the toy store and he buys all the marbles in the entire store, about 1,000 marbles. And he goes home and he puts them in a jar, and he decided every Saturday he's going to take one marble out and he's going to just throw that shit in the trash can, try to dunk it, but no matter what, it's gone. And as he got older, there was something about the diminishing marbles that made this individual just kind of stop and realize what really was important in life. And he told the young man, he's like, well, this morning, right before I took my wife out to breakfast, I put away the last marble. There's no more marbles in the container. And he said that, man, if I make it to next Saturday, I just have to thank everybody and feel like, man, I've been given extra time. And so everybody in the radio station and everybody listening, you could probably hear like a pin drop because it was a pretty gnarly statement. And right after that, the men got off the phone and just took their whole family to breakfast. So it's like we all want to focus on the future to try to make a better present. But sometimes in focusing on the future, we fuck up our present, right? And right now, I'm openly telling you guys that there's some shit going on that has really made me think about like, fuck, man, like what do I really want to be doing? Is it really active to be doing certain things that just the way I'm going about everything? And I guess I'm made this live stream because I just felt like it was a decent message that, hey, it's not just me. There's so many other people. It's suffering, right? To live is to suffer, and the meaning of life is to find meaning in that suffering. Because without suffering, there really is no meaning to joy. If we lived in nirvana, what would we do, right? Hence, that's why this sport is so effing amazing, is because we see so much negativity with injuries, with guys getting hurt, guys getting crippled, guys dying, but then we get to see the superstars that get to live the dream. And as I said at the beginning, we want to take those accomplishments a little bit as our own, right? Tomac wins a championship and he's from Colorado. Well, all of a sudden, I feel like a fucking superhero because I'm from Colorado, We take that. And it's important. And again, it's our conditioning. Brennan Walsh says, hey, this is the same as the book for 4,000 weeks. I'll have to pick it up. But I know I've been kind of talking for 20 minutes. I've got some other videos planned, and I'm giving away some stuff with some good people that I've got backed in there. So I just want to take a moment to tell you guys that over the couple years, there's been a lot that has happened, especially with this channel, right? And with some of the information that I've shared. And I'm telling you that I am not going to change who I am to try to conform for other people. Because at the end of the day, I've got to look at myself in the mirror and I've got to enjoy doing what I'm doing. And if I'm not enjoying making content, then I'm just not going to fucking do it anymore. Just plain and simple, And I don't want to keep up with the Joneses. And as much as like, hey, I've got this effing crypto channel that I talk a lot about, finance with, that's personal finance, something that I enjoy almost as much as is riding, but there's you could eventually you always want more. You always want more. And I feel like the sport of motocross sometimes has taught kids, especially the kids that are successful, that they just need more and more and more and more. And I don't know how many times we're probably going to see this a lot on the podium this year for Supercross, where a guy gets up there, doesn't matter if it's Anderson, Tomac, or Webb, Roczen, hopefully the older individuals that have a family that kind of understand there is life beyond racing motorcycles will get up there and literally just thank the opportunity for being able to make money racing their damn dirt bike, being somebody's idol, being somebody's hero. I think we'll see a lot in the 250 class. We'll be seeing guys like, hey, yeah, I know I got on the podium, but could have done better. Just kind of focusing on the negative rather than the positive. Like, hey, I didn't fucking eat shit. I'm still in the points. I manage stuff. I want to see people being incredibly positive on there, not so much beating themselves up. And this is where you have those life coaches and everybody involved for that sort of a thing. But let me answer a few questions and we'll just end it right there as far as, oh gosh, any comments on the Crypto Zoo project Taylor's talking about? Dude, when it comes to Ponzi schemes, I really highly try to stay away from anybody that is an influencer that tries to peddle something, because number one is, even when it comes to sponsorships on channels, Racer X, everybody, they're getting paid to say certain things. That's what typical media is with MSN, CNN, even Fox News, Newsmax, etc. It's not what they say during the commercials, it's what they say in between the commercials, because the commercials are paying for what they say in between. And when it comes to Logan Paul, pretty much everything that those guys are associated with, I just feel as if, hey, somebody gave them money. Just like the whole FTX thing with Kevin O'Leary, got $15 million to promote this stuff. Did he even use FTX? That's the thing, right? Does he even use FTX? You want to see people that actually really use the stuff. And there is a theory called the Copernican theory that is about, it's basically almost being able to predict the future. The guy that came up with the Copernican theory, he ended up predicting the end of the Berlin Wall within like 5 days of it actually happening. And if I'm going to try to simplify what the theory is, it's a theory that actually all hedge funds and big corporations use, because they need to have the longevity of things. And so how they do it is they say, hey, if you're going to guess the lifespan of anybody, you could look at anybody on the streets and you could be fairly accurate by saying, hey, they're anywhere between 20 to 60 years old, 20 to maybe 70, but you're not going to have the latter end or the front end. And you could say that with any corporation, that, hey, this is probably not just at the beginning. This probably isn't right at the end. If I know nothing about it, I'm just going to kind of be right there in the broad middle. And if you use that, well, you can kind of predict if something's going to be around for a while. With the Crypto Zoo, it hasn't been around for a whole heck of a lot of time. So therefore, chances are it'll probably only be around for just as much time as it's been around, if that makes sense. If you look at something like the sport of supercross and motocross, over the last 30, 40 years, it's been around that long. So if I'm using the Copernican theory on our sport to try to say, hey, is it going to die anytime soon? Well, the law of averages would tell me that, hey, this guy's probably going to be around for at least another 30 to 40 years, because chances are it's not at the beginning. Chances are it's not at the end of its life cycle. It's right there in the middle, right? That probably made fucking no sense whatsoever, because I'm kind of over here confusing the hell out of myself. But oh man, there's some gnarly shit going on in the comments. Yeah. With Ken Block, God bless that dude for everything that he's done. And ended up dying in a snowmobiling accident. That's nuts. It's crazy how these guys live on such the edge, of just the adrenaline. It doesn't matter what they're doing. But they're always looking for danger, and it's what keeps them alive. And so I know somebody like Ken lived an extraordinary fulfilled life, and then that's why I truthfully, tell everybody that they should still keep riding dirt bikes. I've met a lot of people in my life that dirt bikes have completely ruined their lives, but then I've also met a lot of people that it saved their lives as well. And, even if you end up having a short life, but it's a fulfilled life, to me, that's a success. I won't go too much into my whole philosophy on religion and, the simulation hypothesis and all that stuff. Just so you know that I'm just a crazy fucker, right? I am just a crazy fucker that does not think anywhere close to the people around me. May that be good or bad, but anyway. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to sign off, and until tomorrow, we're going to have a live show, and I believe our guest is going to, it'll be a surprise. It'll be a surprise. But anyway, you guys want to brop with me? I know people love it or hate it, but on the live show, we'll just go WFO. So we ready? I know there's a delay here, so I'll give it like a 5-second silence. Bro!